What's up, guys? It's G here, and welcome back to the Grizzly Life podcast. In this episode, Colton gives a gym status update for each of the gym locations, from current projects to what's coming in the near future. This one's all about keeping you in the loop on where things stand and what's going on. New episodes drop every Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe, follow, and turn on notifications. Now let's get into episode 21 of the Grizzly Life podcast.
Yo, what is up, guys? It is episode 21 of many. We thank you guys for tuning in and listening to us. I know we've kind of got a lot of work to do yet on this podcast. It kind of seems like we're all over the place and just kind of working through the motions here, but we are moving forward with some big projects that's going to kind of help take the podcast to the next level, so we are excited about that. Today's episode is really going to be about some gym status updates, things we're working on in the business, just kind of some overview of stuff. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, but also maybe elaborate on some of these things that we're doing. And before we jump into that, I've got this thought. I'm going to kind of throw this out there now. Maybe I'll touch on it at the end of the episode as well. But I sent a picture of this the other day to my team, my Grizzly team. Let me actually pull it up here so I can read to you guys what it says. Actually, here, I've got a note on it. So think about this no matter what position you are in, whether you are, a cashier, you own a business, you work with a small group of people, or you work for a large business, whatever it is. Most likely you probably deal with customers at some point of your day-to-day routine. So if you only had one customer, how would you treat them? The reason that I find this interesting, and the book that I was reading was by Alex Hormozi. He's a big gym guy as well, but if you only had one customer, how would you treat them? The reason this is important is because we're talking about retention, we're talking about keeping people around long term. We're really just trying to think about if you only had one customer, and your life, in the book that I was reading, it was really talking about if you only had one customer and you had to make sure that customer was the reason you got more customers, aka word of mouth and referrals and that kind of stuff. How would you treat that one individual, right? With a smile, by name, getting to know them, making sure they're happy, making sure they're satisfied with your business or with your service and all of that. So just an interesting thought to kind of keep in the back of your head. What would that mindset be if you only had one customer, and how would you treat them? And then however you answer that, that's how you should be treating all of your customers, right? I know we've all got that one customer, that one situation, but think about how your business and whatever position you are in, how can you kind of take that mindset and use that for your day-to-day stuff? So take that for what it's worth. I think it's kind of an interesting concept. Maybe at the end of the episode, we'll touch on that a little bit too, but that's kind of the thing that's been floating in my head right now. So if you only had one customer, how would you treat them? Moving on. I guess for those of you who don't know who I am, my name's Colton Burt. I am 26, turning 27 here soon. I've got 6 gym locations called Grizzly Fitness kind of around us here where we're at. We've got Priority Fitness, which is a fitness equipment install, service, repair company. Equipment moves, basically everything fitness equipment and gym-related Priority Fitness can do. And then we've got 4 pieces of real estate as well. So, again, if you have not tuned in before, go back and listen to episodes 1 through 4. That gives you a big kind of understanding of how we started back in 2016 and kind of to how we got to where we are now. So do go back and listen to those if you have not listened to those yet. If you're still listening to our newer episodes because you just jumped in, I'm telling you, go back and listen to episodes 1 through 4. Shoot me a message, shoot us an email, tell me something you found interesting. Maybe ask us a question on anything you were like, hey, can you elaborate on this more or that more? We are going to, I'll start off with kind of this big project that we're working on as like a status update thing. I mentioned it last episode a little bit, but I am super excited about it. We're going to be building out a podcast studio area. It's going to be pretty cool. I'm probably going to do a lot of my own investing into that part of it. If we're going to do a podcast setup, I want to make sure it's, I don't know how to say it, but I want to feel like I want to go and hang out in that space, right? It's like having the ideal office set up or, the computer that you want to work on or whatever it is. I want to make sure this podcast studio is like extremely welcoming, super fun to be in. And also I want this studio set up to be inviting to the people that we'll be interviewing, whether that's friends and family, people on our team, but also local business owners, gym member interviews. We're going to do a lot of collaborations with this podcast. Eventually we'll do, and I'll back up. It won't only be just for this podcast setup. We do plan on making content with, local business owners, gym members, trainer interviews, maybe 2 trainers talking about exercise techniques or whatever. So this space will just double as like a recording studio in general. So not all of those scenarios are going to make this podcast necessarily, but we'll use a lot of that content for short form or, maybe even Grizzly Fitness YouTube page if we want to use some of that stuff. So super, super excited about that. This space, I believe, is about 1,200 square feet or so. It's going to be all black everything. We're going to do like a stained concrete finish, so it'll be nice and shiny. We're going to have a really cool podcast set up in there. We're also going to probably have, we might throw some like fun stuff in there. I always wanted like a pool table in the office. Again, totally has nothing to do with anything. I just thought it'd be kind of cool. But this space will be for office parties. So when we do like our end of the year Christmas parties, or if we do like a staff meeting, this will just be kind of one of those safe places. We can just go hang out, have a good time, kind of be away from every other aspect of business and just kind of have a good spot to hang out. So anyways, I'll stop going on and on about that. It's going to be a super cool spot. This is the building that is right across from our Watoma gym. It is vacant currently, kind of. I know I talked a little bit about last episode. There's also a little chunk, and I'm going to say this lightly because it's going to happen in due time. It's just a matter of when. We will, as of right now, we've been tossing the idea around to build out gym amenities for Watoma. We are going to build out gym amenities. It's just a matter of where and how we want to do it. So the space across the road, or our parking lot, we're looking at building out a little section of this building, which would be connected to our podcast studio as well. We're looking at doing like our tanning or sauna, recovery stuff, I don't want to say like cold plunge and that, but things like that we're kind of researching and deciding what we want to do. We're going to be building out a little section there. So you come into the gym, you can check in. You can also maybe book your session across the street. I don't really know how it's all going to flow yet, but that's kind of a little project we're working on. I want to say this lightly because when we release information like that, people always ask, when's it going to get done? When's it going to get done? I'm not sure when this project is going to be done. This is just kind of the direction we're looking at going currently. So that will be happening in the future, something along those lines. So that is kind of a current project list over there at that building. We'll kind of keep talking about Watoma since we're on that subject. Watoma has a back section that is still not complete. If you go to our Watoma gym and you've always wondered what's behind that door that says, employees only, there is still a good amount of space back there. We are building out a room back there currently that is overflow for apparel and supplements for most of our gyms, or for the Watoma gym. So a lot of our back stock stays in that room. But also that room is turning into our apparel room. So we actually make a lot of our own apparel besides the stuff you order online from thegrizzlylife.com. All the apparel we sell in our gyms, we actually print ourselves. I know I've talked about that before in the past, but I originally started out making our apparel, and that's just kind of grown and expanded since then. So we've now kind of given it its own little room and little area. It'll have nice shelves and stuff to kind of store our apparel. So that project's actually happening right now. That project's almost done. We just got to finish the lights and some other stuff in there. That room will also, in our current office space in Watoma, the office that I typically work out of, there's a washer and dryer in the meeting space that's connected to our office. So the washer and dryer are actually moving on the other side of the wall, which will also be in that apparel room, which will clean up our office quite a bit. It won't make so much noise when I'm trying to sit down and have a conversation with somebody. So those are some little projects going on back there. The rest of the back section at Watoma will turn into gym space. Again, this is one of those projects where I could be thinking this today is how it's going to go, and then tomorrow it could be completely different. But we are looking at doing most of our personal training stuff back there, our semi-private stuff that we're doing right now. I think we're going to build that back section out to be a more exclusive area for that program. So if any of you are listening and are in our semi-private program in Watoma, we are going to be working on having a really nice space for that. That will be it'll be able to be closed off when those sessions are actually in progress, and it'll be a massive upgrade for that space. So I'm not quite sure what else is going to go back there. There is quite a bit of space. There might be some general gym access stuff back there, or maybe when the semi-private sessions aren't happening, but there's still a decent amount of work that we have to do back there to get that section open. We still have to finish the HVAC unit that's gone back there. We have to drywall the ceiling, which is an absolute mess, or we have to drop the ceiling down and then drywall it. There's just, being an old grocery store, there's tons of electrical running all over the place, and it's messy, and so it's just not like a super simple, it's not a new build project. It's a grocery store from the 50s, 60s, 70s, and just a lot of hodgepodge stuff that we just gotta have to clean up. So that project's been on the back burner a little bit. I think we're going to be looking at that project more like Q3, maybe early Q4. We want to get that done of this year, or at least kind of pick that back up and keep working on that. So that's just kind of an update there. I think that's all I'm going to talk about at Watoma. Just a couple little things. There's a lot of projects we want to do. I'm not going to use this episode to talk about every single thing, but those are some kind of major updates there. Our Princeton gym, I'll talk a little bit about that. We bought this building in Princeton, obviously not too long ago. The first and most important project for the building itself is actually kind of like a foundation, not issue, but kind of be more proactive about it versus reactive. So we've got a little foundation project we've got to work on, and then also finish cleaning up the basement and making sure, we got to get like some dehumidifiers down there and stuff, just because the way it was built back in the day, it just kind of holds moisture and gets kind of sticky down there. So in order to better use that basement for storage and stuff, I would like to get that cleaned up so we can use it for, it's a good amount of space down there, but getting that cleaned up for storage of supplies, tools, whatever, stuff that runs around from all of our gyms, I think that would be good to store down there. So we just got to finish that little project for us. Also, if you go to the Princeton gym, you've noticed the middle section that has been kind of a hot mess. We've got rubber flooring down there now. The PF guys were over there last week or the week before and got a bunch of 6x4 horse stall mats down, cut most of them in, so it looks pretty good. That middle section, once that's all cleaned up, will still be a little lounge area, a little, come in, take your shoes off and hang out or grab a cup of coffee, whatever. But also, that middle section, the turf, should be moving onto that rubber. That will allow us to have another 5-10 machines or so on the gym floor, so that'll be cool. The turf will be in the middle, and then that middle will also be kind of try to be wide open. So if we want to do kind of a senior fit class style thing, we can do that, but also so we can have some like good ab space and lay on the ground and stretch out and roll out and all that stuff. So that will be kind of the primary idea of the middle section. So just so you are aware, if you're a Princeton member, the Princeton bathroom, so we've got the one operating one right now. The second one is right up the little, there's like a little 5 stairs to go up to the landing, and on the right, there's actually another bathroom up there. That project is nearing its finish as well. So we just got a couple little things there, and then we'll have our second bathroom up and running at our Princeton facility. So that is going to be happening here soon. Kind of a far out project that would just be cool. It's very expensive unless we get some grants or find out more. But, if we could restore the mural someday, that would be super cool. I don't foresee that being in the budget tomorrow by any means, but restoring the Princeton murals, as I'm sure a lot of you have seen, maybe on my Snapchat, or if you're a Princeton member, you know what I'm talking about. So that would be a cool thing to do sometime down the road. Along with that one, another cool, in quotations, project to do for that building, I would like to take the whole, like the siding off the front of the building and see how original, I'm assuming it's extremely original still underneath all of that. So depending on the condition of that, it'd be super cool to restore or kind of bring back, go back in time and get it to look like it did at once from like the front aspect. Because going downtown and seeing all those really old historic buildings and seeing the original, sometimes it's got the date at the top or all the original brickwork or whatever it is. I kind of want to get that displayed again, so that would be cool. Last update for Princeton, I believe we're going to be bringing a glute drive over there. So if any of you listening are looking for the hip thrust machine, we will be bringing one over to Princeton at some point as well, probably once the middle section's kind of cleaned up and opened up. We've got more space. And I plan on bringing some more plates over there to kind of complete that. Princeton's plates are kind of a hodgepodge of like a bunch of random brands. When I first started Princeton, it was kind of, I collected really cool stuff and I collected plates, and Princeton just kind of ended up getting a hodgepodge of stuff. So I plan on bringing the rest of kind of like the cool rare plates that I've got in storage and just kind of adding more plates to the gym over there. So that's kind of some updates on Princeton. Let's talk about Grizzly Amro. Grizzly Amro. If you're an Amro member, or if you're just tuning in and you don't really know much about Amro, we've gotten some stuff done there recently. They had like this little janky half wall thing that we ripped out to kind of open it up more. The back section used to be posing in quotation rooms. They were just kind of, I don't know, it was weird. So we took those posing rooms out. We took the ceiling out back there, just a little, probably 600, 800 square feet or something in the back there by the bathrooms. We kind of cleaned all that up. We brought rubber flooring in. We put all that down. We brought in a new unit that hangs a punching bag, and it's got a little wall so you can throw balls against it and do core work, and you can hang TRX bands and stuff from it. That back section, we are still going to be bringing in a 2 or 3 bay storage unit. So we'll have some small dumbbells, 5 to 25, 5 to 30, 5 to 50, whatever back there. Med balls, stability balls, yoga mats, TRX bands, all of that stuff will be stored back there. The goal of that back section is to kind of serve as a hub for your functional fitness, but also once we onboard our personal training division or program there, that back section will be a very good area to do all of that in. So that's a project we're working on back there. The flooring's down, that unit's in there. The storage unit should be coming in the next week or two. So that is all kind of happening over there as well. The Amro floor is an ongoing project. There's like 3 different colors of like black paint for the floor that's not rubber. And so it just kind of looks kind of janky. We're debating putting more carpet down in the gym or putting more rubber down. We're just kind of trying to figure that out. So that is a ongoing project there as well. The Amro lighting. This is just, I want it to be a little bit better lit in there. I want it to be more welcoming in a sense. It's almost like too dim in there. So we don't own the property in Amro. We rent actually from the city of Amro. So it's just a matter of how much money do we want to put into a building that's not ours to make it great. Long term, if we could purchase the property, we would like to, but that's kind of, again, under the table, not quite there yet. So long term, that would be cool, but we'll see how that goes. So I did mention, I'm just kind of going off some notes here. I've mentioned the Amro personal training. That's an aspect we plan on bringing on once we kind of finish that back section, which should be soon. And then I kind of made a note for Amro long term. If we could expand the gym in Amro. If we, the thing about Amro is it's so close to Oshkosh. For those of you who are just tuning in and kind of listening to me talk, Amro is so close to Oshkosh, and it's right down the highway, basically right down the road. So we're always facing a challenge of like keeping local business in the town it's from, right? It's very interesting to go from town to town and understand how this town interacts versus that town, right? Some of them are much more community focused, small business focused. They care about local business. Then you go to another town and maybe it's more blue collar, hardworking guys trying to figure out how to get that group of people in the gym. And then all of a sudden you go to another community and they're very fit and very active and they always want to be in the gym. So it's like, you look at opening, if you're thinking about, owning a gym would be cool, you really got to know the community that you're getting involved with and understand like the demographics, obviously. So just a little bit of research there. But Amro is, I love it there. Actually, I really do like the facility. I like the town. I like the community. But we're just facing that challenge of we bought an existing business, turning it into Grizzly Amro. How do we get the name out locally that it's a Grizzly facility? We've done a lot of work to it compared to what it was before. And then again, getting people to, again, shop local, come back to their local fitness center, stop driving to Oshkosh because it's just down the road. So that's kind of an ongoing project as well, is how do we overcome that obstacle? How do we get the word out better over there? How do we get more involved in the local community? So Amro long term, if we could buy the building, if we could buy a building in Amro, if we could make it bigger, make it better for the community, that would be really cool as well. If you guys know me, you know that I like big fitness centers. Obviously, Watoma and Berlin, and now Princeton even, are all very solid size facilities. So anyways, moving on. All right, we're going to talk about Grizzly O-Town. The first thing I want to mention about Grizzly O, and actually I'll back up. I hope some of you guys are finding this interesting. A lot of individual members, right? They're worried about I want to say this the right way. You're concerned about their facility and why isn't their facility getting better? And I guess part of the reason I'm throwing all this stuff out of there is so people have kind of a status update and understanding of what's going on. But also, we've got a lot of stuff, kind of a lot of moving parts. Our biggest thing is we want to be part of these communities. We want to give back to these facilities. We want to make sure they have better fitness facilities than they would have had in the first place, right? Like that's what we strive to do. We strive to have the coolest gym equipment, the most rare stuff, the stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. Like those are the things that we pride ourselves in. And then obviously we want to help people change their lives for the better. We want to help them be 1% better. We want them to be the healthiest versions of themselves, right? All of those things. So I understand where people are coming from when they're like, hey, I see you're doing all this work at Princeton, but not here, or Amro and not there, or whatever. We're thinking about all the projects. We're trying to get all these projects done. We're trying to continue moving forward on all of these things at the same time. It's just not always easy. It's a balancing act, trying to figure out how to do this all and make it function and, bring it all together. It's a learning curve every day of how do we do this? How do we do this the right way? How do we go about this? So anyways, that's kind of why I'm talking about this. But really, I was just kind of wanting to give everybody kind of an update and understand how many projects we've got on our plate. So Grizzly O. The first thing that Grizzly O and I are working on, and this is O-Town Iron. This quarter, I don't know if you guys remember me several episodes ago, one of my rocks or one of my goals for this quarter is to be more involved at O-Town. Jacob Colburn and I partnered about, I think last like April, May, June, something like that. It was official. And once we did that, I was just kind of helping O-Town out with some new equipment and getting it set up a little bit better and, not really coaching or doing anything there, right? Like my job was to help with the equipment and I'm a big finance guy. I like to do finances, so I'm also helping out on that aspect. I like to run the books and I like to make sure I like to budget. I like to do all of that. So our agreement, I was going to help out with that stuff and Jacob was going to run the gym and that was great. I think fast forward to now, I think they're doing good. As a business partner, I felt like I needed to be more involved and kind of make sure that the Grizzly O staff knew who I was and those sorts of things. So I made it one of my goals for Q2 to get more involved at O-Town, be more involved as a leader there, help develop our leaders there. So make sure everybody's kind of, again, becoming the best versions of themselves and working towards whatever goals they have in their personal lives and their professional lives. Like I've been getting involved on that aspect. So I've been going there every Monday for our team meetings. I get involved at those. I have individual conversations with our staff there. And so that's been really fun, meeting a different team, a team that I didn't originally start, and see kind of how they all get along and how they interact. And it's actually been a lot of fun. So one of the first projects we're working on there is like leadership and working together as a team. So that's kind of an ongoing project. I know that's not like a money aspect or like a upgrade for anybody else, but really the stronger our team is, the stronger the gym's going to be, and the better off that gym's going to be in the long run. So that's what we've been working on there. We've also been working on bringing on our personal training aspect there. So that is picking up. That is doing well. We've got the same system there as we do at our other facilities. So if you're at our facilities in Berlin, Princeton, or Watoma doing our semi-private stuff, we're also doing it in Oshkosh. So that is picking up there, and that's kind of an ongoing thing as well. They still need to get some. I need to help get Grizzly O-Town some more equipment that system needs to have the best personal training area to, not just work out at, but have the right equipment to use. So that's kind of an ongoing project. There's a lot of physical projects we're doing, but there's also, this other one is kind of a big one as well. So the Grizzly O merge / brand awareness is what I've got done for my note. That's going to be an upcoming thing that Jacob and I are working on together. We did tell members a while back that, hey, it's Grizzly O-Town, but we haven't really rebranded or changed any names or any signages and that sort of thing. So our marketing material, our emails, our voicemails, our flyers in the gym, which is like our marketing material, our Facebook and all that stuff, we're going to slowly convert to Grizzly O-Town and kind of bring that Grizzly name to Oshkosh. Make sure people understand that that's coming, what that means. So Jacob and I are actually going to do a bunch of projects together. We're going to sit down and do a podcast on O-Town Iron versus Grizzly Fitness and working together and what that means and how we're working together. So I'll save a lot of details for that because that will be released as well. Maybe we'll even throw an episode like that here on the podcast. But so that's kind of an ongoing thing for Q2, Q3, Q4, kind of an ever-going thing. So that's a big one. And then Grizzly O long-term, I also wrote a note down, I'm just talking out loud, if we could, in a couple years, purchase a bigger building in Oshkosh and make a really cool gym and make it even bigger, that would be a goal down the road as well. But we'll kind of leave it on that. So I've talked about Watoma, I've talked about Princeton, I've talked about Omro and Grizzly O. We've got Rosendale and we've got Berlin. Berlin real quick. Actually, Rosendale real quick. For those of you who know anything about a Rosendale facility, or if you are a Rosendale member and are listening to this episode, it's a small facility. It's about 3,000 square feet. We purchased it from a guy that was going to close the gym potentially. They had kind of some goofy staffed hours, so we got it. We turned it into 24/7. We just did our little overhaul there, brought in some new pieces of equipment, organized a little bit. As far as ongoing projects at Rosendale go, it's tough. It's just such a small facility, smaller than what Grizzly is used to, which is okay. The reason we want to be there is to, again, keep a facility alive for the community and just be present there. So some of our ongoing projects there, I know we've got to get some new cardio or some other cardio pieces over there. I know we're doing like our senior class there. We want to kind of continue working on that and maybe make that a little bit bigger. Rosendale, the biggest thing is kind of like the marketing, like letting local businesses, and again, it's a town of 1,000 people, right? But getting people to know we're there and, again, shop local, come to our gym and our facility in Rosendale. Don't go to Fond du Lac. So that is kind of the brief on Rosendale. With Berlin, Berlin's always an ongoing project. We've gotten a lot of stuff done there. I know we're looking at obviously doing some more cool paintings and stuff. We're slowly decorating it up. But I'm trying to think of Berlin off the top. Our team meeting is in Berlin tomorrow, so we're actually going to discuss all the projects that we want to accomplish there. I know we're still building out a 4th bathroom at some point. That's been kind of on hold. We just haven't been worried about it. I believe we are going to be bringing another treadmill or 2 over there at some point as well. Berlin always kind of gets... It's an all-white facility as far as the equipment goes, so it's all white frame, and I try to get all blue upholstery, so slowly getting all the upholstery over to blue is another project that I'm working on there. And then I've got a couple cool pieces that I'm looking at bringing in over there too. So that's kind of like the current status of Berlin. There's some physical things that we can do, touching up, cleaning up some things, the 4th bathroom. But a lot of the major projects have been done there that we've needed to work on. You can always get creative, It'd be really cool to expand Berlin. Why? Just because. It doesn't need to be expanded. It's already 14,000 square. But the other thing with Berlin too, that would be cool someday. Again, don't hold me to anything, but if we could eventually go away from a gravel lot and go into like a black top loop or something for the front, that would be really cool. Obviously, very costly. I don't know how you really can look at your ROI on that, your return on investment, just because I don't know if it's necessarily going to get us any more or less memberships, but that would be cool as well. The last thing I'd like to talk about that is exciting, and this is just a project we're working on, is our marketing. One of my Q2 goals was to clean up our marketing system. Something that gets kind of interesting, having multiple locations, multiple businesses, properties, a lot of moving parts, is having a clean-cut marketing system. This person runs this gym page, and this person runs this other gym page, and I forgot to get content, so let me share this other, it's just like we don't have a clean, precise, concise system to our marketing, right? So we're actually working on a platform to hold all of our social media in and be able to separate all of our social media pages by in quotations, like a client. So Grizzly Berlin, Grizzly Omro, Rosendale, Princeton, Oshkosh, the Grizzly Life, Priority Fitness, my personal Instagram, my personal Facebook. Those will all be set up as in quotations, clients or customers. And then we can go into each of those files and kind of build out the marketing plan for each of those. So it'll be a very nice system to oversee all of the projects. This will also allow us to pre-plan months in advance, right? We've always done this where 4th of July is coming and we think about what we should do for 4th of July on July 1st, right? So our apparel's released late and, anything like that specials wise. We've never been good at pre-planning or thinking ahead. So the goal of this system is to have a homework assignments basically for our staff on what marketing material we need them to gather. We're going to be getting that content hopefully a month in advance within reason to, for the month of May, we're planning June, July, etc. And then we're going to try to get into like really cool content, promo videos with our staff, promo videos with gym members, again, kind of like the interview content. So I'm really excited about the marketing. That's just, this new platform is going to be super cool. We're hoping to kind of roll it out in June, slowly, work on one gym at a time and kind of work on getting it in there and making sure our staff knows how they need to utilize it. But this will also help with like quality control. So when you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 different people posting to your platforms for you, everybody's kind of got a style or an angle or whatever they do, the way they collect content. So we're going to streamline all of that as well. People are going to grab the content, they're going to upload it, and then we're going to have 1 or 2 people making the post. So anyways, super excited for that. Marketing is a huge thing that we've been kind of, good at, bad at, good at, bad at. And so we're going to take it to the next level this year. And so that's another huge project we're working on. So again, this episode was kind of a gym status update. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Again, I was trying to get you guys to see the perspective of what we're thinking about on a day-to-day basis, what we're working on, where our heads are at. There's plenty of things I'm not talking about here on like gym projects and status and updates. But I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, the thought in the beginning of the episode was, if you only had one customer, how would you treat them? Think about the way you'd greet them. Think about that smile. Think about, knowing them by name, maybe their birthday. How would you, connect with that individual and make sure that they want to tell everybody else that this is the place to be, right? I think for us, it's so important because it's gym memberships and people come and go and it's like a subscription-based model. But how do we keep those people around? How do we make sure that these people want to come and work out and be the best versions of themselves? How do we keep them coming back? How do we make sure they tell their friends and family and their cousins when they're in town, whatever, that, hey, you need to see this facility. It's awesome. Or, if you're telling somebody about how cool a gym is, like if we can get them to say how awesome the staff is, like that is, that's great. So getting that customer experience, not the customer service, I think is extremely valuable. So keep that thought in mind. If you only had one customer, how would you treat them? Anyways, if you guys want to add me on Snapchat, Colton.Burt, COLTON.BURT. Instagram is ColtonBurt19, Facebook as well. I am going to, I promise, start getting active on those platforms. Snapchat, I do post a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I talk a lot about what I eat on a day-to-day basis when I'm working out. Just kind of like little, not daily motivation stuff, but hey, this is kind of my daily routine and this is what I'm doing. I'm trying to be better about Instagram and Facebook. But anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Episode 21 of many, and we will see you guys next time.